Hello, everyone. We have with us Jori Ringman, who has been serving as the Director General of the Confederation of European Paper Industries since June 2019. Prior to that, he was Deputy Director General and responsible for issues relating to sustainability, environment, and consumer protection, with particular concern for packaging and food contact. Since joining the organization in 2005, he has been advancing and exploring circular, low-carbon bioeconomy in the sector. Prior to that, he was a civil servant at the European Commission and a political advisor in the European Parliament. Mr. Jori has a background in economics and business management and broad experience in communications, public administration, and politics. He also holds a Master of Science degree in environmental decision-making. He will now give a presentation titled Cardboard Box Soars into the Future. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Jori.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are attending this event in the world. My name is Jori Ringman. I'm Director General of Cepi, the European Confederation of Pulp, Paper and Board Industry. Thank you to Waste and Recycling for this opportunity to speak at this event. When I saw the title the organizers suggested to me, I thought first that it's all way too much to say. Soaring to the future, that sounded too much. But once I started preparing for this presentation, then I had to agree. Paper and board packaging is indeed soaring into the future. Let me tell you how. There are some trends that are strongly lifting us up. I will look into two, which are first the environmental consciousness of consumers, in particular in relation to plastic materials. And secondly, the trend in changing shopping habits. Both trends, I believe, are quite global. There is also some policy development in the European Union that will also push us to the future, maybe faster than we would have done otherwise. This big new policy is called Green Deal, and like usual, may be copied elsewhere in the world as well. Finally, I will give you one example of the many responses the industry is currently developing and is working on. Also, this is one that I believe is relevant also globally. So let's move on. The growing concern of the plastic pollution in the oceans led the European Union to propose a restrictive regulation on single-use plastic articles. It was supposed to target the 10 most commonly found plastic litter articles on beaches and kind of like applying the 80-20 rule, aiming to impact 75% of the plastic litter by targeting only those 10 most common products. Well, it didn't quite go that way. From a targeted regulation that was supposed to be a surgical tool, the policy quickly became a general tool against any single-use product and against recycling. The new black in fashion is reuse, and recycling, they say, is so last season. It was then not perhaps so surprising that policymakers often used the paper cups for coffee as an example of something that is not properly managed for circularity and could readily get littered. So now, as an outcome, any paper and board article with even the slightest amount of plastic coating on top of the paper and board actually is in the scope of the directive. We will have to be able to live with that, but hoping it won't prevent us from tapping into the huge potential in reducing unnecessary plastics in the society. Consumers, retailers, and brand owners are all searching now alternatives for plastic packaging. According to a study from 2 years ago, in Europe alone, 4.5 million tons of plastic packaging could be immediately replaced with paper and board packaging without any loss of functionality. That would remove a significant amount of plastic packaging from the environment. And we would also gain significant climate change benefits doing so. But it's not only what is currently available. In the paper and board sector, new innovative products and materials are being announced on daily basis. So the potential for substitution is actually growing rapidly as we talk. Simultaneously, we see a big increase in recycling, and in Europe, significant investments are made to new recycling capacity. In the paper industry in Europe, we invest twice as much as in the manufacturing on average. 1 of every 4 value-added euro we reinvest back in the economy by paper companies. The second big trend is shopping from home. According to a fresh study by Smithers, whilst the retail overall went down by 3% last year, online shopping actually went up by 1/4. This is a huge jump in 1 year. This also means a lot more packaging is needed, and often it is fiber-based. When the online shopping was growing so fast already some years ago, the first packaging solutions were occasionally quite clumsy, I have to admit. So consumers may often have been frustrated with the packaging that was seemingly redundant or not quite fit for purpose. Now the packaging providers have been able to catch up with the growing market, and those concerns are mostly gone. But other concerns have surfaced last year. Now it is the shift of packaging waste from the well-organized systems at retail shops to the pavements at home. The municipal waste management was simply not prepared for this increase. But given a little bit of time, I'm sure this also will be sorted out and again well managed. Then we have the push by the legislation. The lady in the picture is Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen. Her official title is President of the European Commission. I guess she would be the person we would point at when aliens would ask to be taken to our leader in Europe. She set the massive policy initiative at the start of her mandate 18 months ago when she started, called the Green Deal. She called it the Europe's man on the moon moment. So you see, the idea of aliens coming from the outer space to see her may not be that far-fetched after all. But most importantly, she may have meant with this man on the moon moment that we are aiming to do something that not so long ago was considered impossible. And this is indeed the level of ambition she has. The first emphasis of her work has been very much been on the climate change mitigation and energy transition. She's determined to make Europe the first climate neutral continent by 2050. To get there, legally binding milestones will be set by 2030 and onwards. Next steps in her policy will look into packaging, sustainable products, and circular economy. Legislative proposals are expected by the end of the year or latest early in the new year. These will include the next generation of regulating single-use products, not limited to those made of plastics. So we will be still discussing about coffee cups, no doubt. But this time, I can tell you, we are better prepared. The pulp and paper industry is going through a deep transformation so that we can truly be the industry of the future. From the many initiatives we are currently having, I would like to pick one that Cepi started last year. It's the alliance called ForeverGreen. ForeverGreen is an alliance that aims to raise the overall recycling rate of paper and board packaging to 90% by 2030. To reach this ambitious goal, we have set 4 intermediary targets to be met by 2025. Everything starts, of course, with designing products for circularity. We are preparing guidelines for that and also updating the recyclability test methods and assessments to make sure anything that big brand owners and retailers place on the market actually can be recycled. In this, the many global brand names that we have in the alliance joining us will make a difference. The next intermediary target is to ensure separate collection streams are available for all fiber-based packaging, from households, from working place, from on the go in the streets. All has to have a collecting system in place. In this, we are looking in particular at the global hospitality sector companies in our alliance. Those we also have very well-known big names, to make sure that the coffee cup and the kind of that materials also has an appropriate bin to ensure it is not littered but gets to recycling. And to connect from collection to paper recycling mills, it is important that all materials are correctly identified in the EN 643 standard, which is the standard for grading collected paper and board. Here, waste management companies, collectors, and traders are of course needed to make sure that the EN 643 makes sense for the market and is used in transactions. Finally, the paper industry will ensure that all that is collected, correctly sorted, also will get recycled. Again, the massive investments in the new recycling capacity and evolving technology will surely make this happen. Although, as you can see, 2025, it's a very ambitious target deadline for all this to be in place and happening. In 15 minutes, I can only scratch the surface, of course, but I do hope many of you have identified that this is a value chain where you can join in for your business also to soar into the future. The long-term trends are on our side. The policy will accelerate the change that is needed, and the industry is proactive and investing to make things happen. Thank you very much for this opportunity.